up? What's happening? What's going on? K Mega 405 coming to you live from the 405 where I'm just your regular gamer talking to the intelligent gamers. If you are new to the channel, welcome. Be so kind to hit that subscribe button, that notification bell, all of that. Man, we're so close to 4,000. We're around I think last checked was around like 51, 51, 51 from 4,000, man. It is great. It is great to start having the channel, getting to it, start moving. I did say I was going to start doing more videos and things like that. Uh, so good to be here, ready to do this. And so, I mean, I just wanted to just talk about this situation because I thought that it was necessary. You know how I am. Like, I was kind of sit and wait. But this news was pretty interesting because it wasn't so much about uh something that's going on right now that we'll be talking about here on next podcast, third tomorrow, and then on GRG Friday. But this to me is incredible news. Like, I mean, okay, so for instance, I just now got this news. I just read this news today in regards about the Knights of the Old Republic remake. Heard about the Spider-Man thing yesterday. But it's pretty amazing. Like, so came from information from his book that was about the Marvel situation in Xbox. The book is called The Ultimate History of Video Games Volume 2, Nintendo, Sony, Microsoft, and the $1 billion battle to shaping modern gaming. So from Kent Stephen L. I think that's the name. Get it on Amazon. So really interesting stuff. I will touch up on the Knights of the Old Republic stuff because that to me is the more important aspect of this. I know that, hindsight 2020, people are going to talk about the Spider-Man thing because as that's the biggest thing because of where Spider-Man is now. We'll start off with that. And I haven't really been paying attention too much what's on social media for today. I mean, I've been posting quite a bit and then I kind of go on and been doing my own thing. So I can just assume what people are saying. You know how the internet is, right? Um, but let's just put this in perspective about the Spider-Man situation, right? Like, I mean, it's pretty interesting. It's right that Marvel came to, they wanted to get away from Activision. They felt that Activision didn't want to pay the money to and didn't have a clear vision on these Marvel games. Now, it is true that in the book it says basically, Marvel versus Capcom has a fan base. Ultimate Alliance has a fan base, but they're really what I'm saying, because those games were high quality titles. Like, I mean, today I think if Marvel versus Capcom 2 was redone, not remade, just redone, just put some polish on it, have the online ready to go, and charge $60, 60, $70, and people will buy it. That's how solid. That is one of the best fighting games of all time. It's definitely in my top 5 of one of the best fighters of all time. And I'm normally one of those people that say, nah, man, I ain't paying $70 for no standard ass game. But for Marvel vs. Capcom 2, you add some polish to it, I'm gonna pay that 70 for it. I'm gonna do that. I would do that. Well, Capcom can get me for that. There's only a few games that I will allow myself to go to pay that extra $10 for, but that would be one because I feel that game is an instant classic, just amazing. And then also, I mean, like, now I know that Ultimate Alliance there for a while. It's very popular, and I've got the Marvel Alliance 3 on the Switch. I need to go ahead and finish that. Really good. I wish it was on everything, of course, but it still looks good on the Switch. So for people who haven't had a chance to play that, go ahead and try it. Go ahead and give it a shot. It would be discounted now. So, I mean, it's discounted as Nintendo is going to allow it to be, but it's a quality game. Um, but yeah, no, but this whole situation with Spider-Man is like, I mean, I personally have never been a person that is gone all in on Spider-Man video games. I'm just not. I mean, I think I've beaten two or three my entire time in gaming, and we're talking of taking it all the way back to Nintendo 64, and on PlayStation, that on PlayStation 2. That's it. I haven't really played any of the later Spider-Mans that was on the Xbox. It just wasn't never my thing, you know. So um the one thing about the whole Spider-Man situation though is it is great that it's ever been with it being under Insomniac. That is the truth. But it also comes down from this information that, like, you know, hey, Activision just didn't want to pay them the money. You know, they wanted a high quality title for their Marvel games, and they wanted to seek out a publisher that had money that they wanted to see if who would invest in them. And of course, from the information from within the book, Microsoft turned it down. And one of the reasons was behind it was because Microsoft was getting tired of the whole, and this would make sense because this is around the same time with the situation with around 2014 with the whole situation with Epic and Gears of War. They went ahead and just bought. Um, then if you go and you look at the situation with like Killer Instinct, for instance, they wanted to try to get that Iron Galaxy, I believe. I can't remember which studio it was. It was Iron Galaxy or what? People in the chat, you'll definitely let me know. But they wanted one of those studios, but they went ahead and got picked up by Amazon or I think it was or Google, whichever one it was. And so, you know, and I think if you go and you look at the situation with the Crytek situation, with Rise, and then everything else that happened in the Xbox One generation, I mean, Xbox was already seeming to be done with these third-party marketing deals or second-party marketing deals in the 360 at the end of the 360 era, going into the Xbox One era, and it just comes to look like, nah, man, if we can't purchase it, we're not interested. Like I said, we can look at it now and look at it as a fail, but okay, so let's just put this in perspective again. This is where I'm trying to break this down about the Spider-Man thing. Who would be the studio at that time? We're talking about 2014. Who would be the studio that would get their hands on Spider-Man? And who do you think would it be? One of Xbox internal studios, or would they have another like Crytek or Remedy or somebody like that, or just some unknown work on Spider-Man? And who's to say that Spider-Man under Xbox would have been good? And let's just say that the game was good, right? Like, let's just say it wasn't like what Sony is doing with Spider-Man now with Insomniac. But let's just say that the quality and everything would have been there. But because of how the Xbox One era was perceived, that game would have not lived up to the expectations. Think about it. Think about it. Like, so, I mean, in a sense, when we look at it now, yeah, damn. Like, I mean, they missed a huge opportunity to get those Marvel IPs. But when you look at all those years through the Xbox One couldn't get a break for nothing, especially dealing with second party, studios, the cancellations, even first party studios issues. Like, you know, it just wasn't the media. The media was on them. Fan base was on them. I don't know if it would have changed anything. I don't know. You know, and people can look at this whole situation and say, oh, well, man, you know, Microsoft, this is why they have bad management. Marvel went to Sony Pictures and Sony denied them twice. Think about that. Think about that right now. Think about that for a hot second. Marvel went to Sony Pictures to have them be purchased. To want to be purchased by or acquired, or however you want to say it, by Sony, and Sony declined. Now, think about this for a second, right? Like, okay, all you got to do is look at the Spider-Man movies that Sony has had command of. So I would guess we'd look at, or just the Marvel movies that they got command of, right? Okay, so like when people look at the MCU now, when they like, oh man, Sony, what are you? Oh man, Sony would have been killing it. Would they though? I mean, I have seen Deadshot. I, there's a lot of people. I haven't seen Morbius yet. I do want to see that. Mixed. I've heard people say that it's good, that it's not all that, but it's good. Um, I have not heard anybody talk well about the last Venom movie. I know that people talk good about the first Venom movie. I haven't watched neither one of them. You know, they just don't. They look weird to me. I need to watch them, but I haven't. Now the Spider Verse. Everyone's talked about how good Spider Verse is. That's probably really, if you think about the best Sony Spider-Man movie, because the Amazing Spider-Man, even though I like the Amazing Spider-Man movies, I don't know. I mean, just think about that for a second. So if you look at it, and let's just say in the multiverse, because I mean, you know, Doctor Strange got us, Doctor Strange, Loki, you know, the MCU got us all talking all types of crazy shit now. Um, just think about this for a second. If Xbox got the Marvel games, right? And Sony got the Marvel pictures. I don't see the MCU being or you know being as big as it is. I don't see you know the fact that superhero movies, the way that they are just blowing up and just taking over the movie market. I wouldn't see that happening under Sony. I wouldn't see Spider-Man being as big as it is under Xbox. I just don't. I don't see that. See, look, Rain said the Amazing Spider-Man was trash. I like the Amazing Spider-Man. I think it's because of the character, right? Like a lot of people like Garfield now. I loved his character, and I loved the Emma Watson thing or whatever. I think that's the actress name. Whatever her name was that played Peter's girlfriend at the time, and then all that, and she died and all that other stuff. I like that chemistry. Now, yes, looking at at the very end of Amazing Spider-Man 2, where you had Rhino and he looked goofy, talked goofy. Yes, no, I was not a fan of that. They had too many damn characters. I was understanding that they were trying to build the Sinister Six, which I thought that would be a cool thing to do. Um, but they had too many things. I thought Jamie Foxx's role was cool. I liked the Goblin. I thought the characters individually weren't bad. I think it was just too much of a mesh up, right? Okay, so thank you. So it's been Marvel but I'm saying it's still Spider-Man is still under Sony Pictures. They own the rights to the movies. Sony does the Spider-Man. But you're right. The writing and everything comes from the MCU because they want to make sure that it comes together. But like I'm saying, like Venom, you don't get that same type of vibe. Like I said, Deadshot was awful. I usually try to be optimistic about everything. But that movie, I tried to get into it. I watched it even twice to try to. It's like, man, maybe I was just tired that day. But and then the Venoms, like I said, I haven't even watched them. They don't even interest me. And that's sad because Venom is one of my favorite Spider-Man characters. But I just don't know what it is. So I'm gonna watch the first one, but everybody talks bad about the second. There is not, or they don't even talk about the second Venom movie, which unexpected. But you know what I'm saying? Morbius, I'm gonna see Morbius because Morbius looks really cool. Now we're hearing that they're gonna do Craven, the Manhunter. I like Craven. Now I don't know how this will all project or whatever, but we'll see. But that's the point I'm trying to make about the Spider-Man thing. Before people start jumping on this, oh man, on Xbox, man, see, you always messing up. I just don't think Spider-Man would have been what Spider-Man is under Xbox's umbrella. I just don't see it. I mean, even with me playing the Insomniac version of Spider-Man, which is damn good, I still haven't beaten either one of them. I mean, I've never really been into the games like that. Like it's just never been my thing. And it's not like I don't play superhero games. It's just that I don't know. I get the thrill of swinging around, kicking some ass a little bit, and then I just move on to something else. But I understand for other people out there, it's everything, and that's fine. That's nothing wrong with that. So I just don't see it to being that big of a deal about the whole situation with the Spider-Man situation. Now, what is crazy though is um, that Microsoft wanted to buy all of that, and because of the whole Activision situation and how they managed Spider-Man, and they were just kind of pouring Spider-Mans out every year, or some even multiple times a year. People just they've just oversaturated the market so they could just generate as much money as possible, and the product just wasn't all that great. Now there are some people that's told me like the Spider-Man Dimensions game was good. There's a couple of those games that was on the 360 or that was multiplat in the 360 PlayStation gen and Nintendo. I don't know if I think they were on GameCube. I don't think that they were on they definitely weren't on the Wii. And I don't know if they were on the Wii U. Maybe there could have been some Spider-Man games on the Wii U. Don't know. Um, you know what? You're right, Callie. I bought them both, and You're right. I should, and I played because I've showed gameplay of me playing and I enjoy playing those games. It's just that I don't know what it is. It's some kind of mental block. I'm going to probably go through and just hunker down and play me a bunch of PlayStation games this weekend. I think I'm going to do that, and so I'm going to do that. I'm going to hunker down and just play a whole bunch of PlayStation games this weekend. And Spider-Man, and Miles Morales will be definitely the games I will be playing. But and also like I mean, I enjoy playing those PlayStation games on PC now because that's why I'm happy about them all going out and putting the games on PC. Because okay, so little secret before I get back on topic. So I wasn't ever going to buy Death Stranding, right? Like what Kojima's comments were about like Americans, we don't understand artistic and all that, like because of guns and all that other crazy shit. I was like, no, bro, I'm not getting anything else. Well, I got gifted the game. Well, I'm not gifted, but I got a review a copy for the PC version. So I said, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get it together, play it. I'm gonna show some gameplay. I'm finna just get down and play it. And so I went ahead and I seen that they had the expansion for Death Stranding on sale. And it was like at the time it was like 30 bucks. I was like, nah, I'll wait till it get on sale. And it got down to like I think $8. And so I said, okay, I can get it. So I sit there and I got it. I downloaded because I had to redo I had to uninstall had to reinstall Windows 11 here this past week. And so I've been re-downloading all my PC games. And so I was like, okay, it's time for me to go ahead and look and I'm looking and set my graphics and everything. And so I booted it up and I looked at it and I gotta tell you, because it looked great on PlayStation 4. What I'm saying? I've seen gameplay of the game. But damn, on the PC, Death Stranding looks absolutely insane. Crazy. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to go ahead and give that a run. So like I said, this weekend, I'm going all PlayStation. I'm just playing all types of PlayStation games. Have me some gameplay, just roll that out and just and I'll probably knock out one of them this weekend. I don't know if it's going to be Spider-Man, Miles Morales, or if it will be regular Spider-Man, but I'll knock out one of them this weekend. So, but I can see so many potential between the Marvel. Back to topic. Now I can see so much potential with the whole Marvel thing with the Xbox. I just don't know how it would worked out at that time in 2014, especially with the whole management thing. We can look at it now and see because Phil's in charge and everything that Xbox is doing going forward, and for all the studios they got now. But back then, I just don't know. I can't say that I would been. I don't know. I just don't know. I just don't see it as being something that was overly positive. Yeah, yo, Dragonheart, yo, I know that. That's why. See, and that's why I was going to go. They wanted to the Marvel wanted to have their games to challenge Arkham, the Batman games, because that was the standard for superhero games. There's no question about that. Like, no question. So they wanted somebody to spend a budget of $30 to $50 million to make sure that they do it. And kudos to Sony. I mean, like, Xbox can't get everything. And I think that when Sony acquired, I think they seen everything just come and just fall right in their lap. When they already liked Insomniac, they got a relationship with Insomniac, but then once they got the deal with to get Spider-Man on their own, and then to pick them up, and then it said in that book that um Insomniac was desperate to want to get that. So you never know. Like, it's kind of crazy because maybe Insomniac would have reached out to Microsoft because they already did Sunset Overdrive, but they probably would have went to them again. But then because the way Microsoft was fiddle paddling around about, well, we want to buy the IPs instead of making another sequel to Sunset Overdrive 2. This you kind of see how all this kind of came about and how this all got put together. It's pretty amazing stuff. Like, I'm like, damn. And is it a miss? Now it is. But if Xbox could had Insomniac work on it as a second party situation, then we can look at it and say, okay, then Microsoft definitely gets the L for this situation. But we don't know if Insomniac wanted to work with Microsoft after the situation with Sunset Overdrive, wanting a sequel. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I just don't know. And then, of course, I'm looking at we talk about the Hulk. I know Wolverine. The Wolverine game on 360 was dope. But I mean, look, Sony. So, I mean, Xbox can't get everything, and Sony. I think Sony, they earned it. They got it, so it's all good. What I do want Microsoft to do, though, and which I think Microsoft was trying to do, because they seen exactly when a studio that's hungry to want to work on a game, and when you got financial backing to put into a game, the potential is endless. So that's why Microsoft was going after WB. But lo and behold, thank our last president for wanting to try to talk Microsoft into buying TikTok. I know that there's some people that try to tell you that, oh, that had nothing to do with it. That stopped everything. If you remember, the whole TikTok stuff was all big about because of China and all that other stuff. And so Microsoft halted everything because to try to get TikTok was going to be massive, like bigger than what we see with the Activision acquisition. So that, because I think that what they would have done would picked up WB and ZeniMax, and then they would have had their answer for the growth of Spider-Man. And I'm pretty sure that they knew that wasn't going to be the only franchise that was going to be used for Marvel. So, because then Wolverine got announced, and no telling what else is going to get announced. So, I mean, Spider-Man could link to any and everything. So Sony got the bag on that. Sony's got a great circumstance over there. Now, money-wise, you hear different takes from different people about Disney and what they want and the money that they are going to get, and kind of leaving the other studios and the publishers in the cold. So I don't know if that's all true, but we could definitely know that it's true by EA going ahead and bowing out. Like, nah, we ain't doing the Star Wars thing, bro. We're done. We're out of here. We'll do the Star Wars single player game, but Battlefronts, nah, man, we ain't doing all that. And then, of course, hearing stuff about what's going on with what happened with the Avengers. I mean, Square Enix went ahead and said, hell no, nah, man, get out of here. Get out of here. Get out of here. We're going to go ahead and just sell this studio. Just get them out of here. We didn't generate any money, and Disney took their cut of whatever that they got. And so what they said, that Square Enix lost $200 to $300 million. Oh my God. Like, that's crazy. That is nuts. So, I'm pretty sure Sony is paying a good bag for it, but the leverage that Sony has is because of the films, and they want and that's why this deal is, and probably Sony is recouping more money than what Square Enix or what EA was making, because of the fact that um, Disney wants Spider-Man to be a part of the MCU, or I should say Kevin Feige and all them guys want Spider-Man to be a part of that. And of course, Holland, the kid that plays Spider-Man, they want to make sure that that all gets worked out, because I mean, look what the last Spider-Man did in the theaters, man. I mean, it's nuts, and it was a great damn movie. So, so it all works out. But yeah, now for the people out there that says that like Xbox has to match that by having a superhero. Now, the only thing I can look at is just saying WB. If Microsoft can get their hands back on WB, I hope that they make it happen. But it is clear that Microsoft isn't looking to play footsies. They're like, look, man, we want the whole bag or nothing. We want every bit of. We want to own it all. And like I've said before, is that because of all the crazy shit that happened during the Xbox One era, and probably even before that, with the second party deals. I mean, like I said, Crytek, that situation with Rise. You got Insomniac. Don't know how that all played out. And, it looked bad for Microsoft, but who's to say that there wasn't, it wasn't both sided. So we'll just say that it was Microsoft's fault by not wanting to make a sequel for that. Then you look at, of course, Scalebound, which still breaks my heart. Crackdown 3, that situation was horrible. The story aspect of the game was great, but of course it never lived up to the expectation. It did do well, and they just kind of threw it out there. And then of course you got Recore, which I would love to see a sequel to Recore. You got Quantum Break. Love Quantum Break, was one of my favorite games last gen for Xbox. So that's the thing. So so if you look at the track record of what's going on, and then of course, I mean, you look and see the studio with Lionhead Studios and the Fable situation or whatever, that's a whole different take. But the second party really hurt the Xbox One growth in a lot of ways, because there was just so much crazy chaos going on top of the fact that Microsoft was almost out of there for all the indications to what we've heard, and they weren't trying to spend the money on stuff. They were only talking about their own IPs, but they didn't want to treat their IPs with the TLC that they deserved. So, I mean, look, as an Xbox fan, there's no need to sugarcoat that situation. There was no reason and there's still no reason that Quantum Break, Recore, Rise, Sun and Rome does not and probably won't. Even though I still have hope. Cross my fingers for Rise too. But those games needed a sequel, and Sunset Overdrive. But that Sunset Overdrive is gone, Jack. That's it. Sony got all that. Well, Insomniac got all that. So now Sony got all that. So, I'm gonna read what you're saying, Winter Soldier. Okay, yeah, you said, oh yeah, Sony gave Square Enix a huge bag for Tomb Raider so they could use the money for the Marvel title. They also wasted a lot of money on Fable Legends that could have gone to a better project. You know what? I played Fable Legends and I seen the potential. See, the one thing about Fable Legends, there's two factors to that, right? Okay, so Fable Legends should have been just labeled Fable Legends, come out as a different form of, because the game played totally different compared to what everybody was wanting. But the game had so much potential. It was ahead of its time when the game came out. Like, people weren't used to that type of format. Like, I think the only game that came out like that was Evolve. Now, Evolve, it didn't track enough. It got a lot of people's attention. It had a cool premise as well. But I think if they didn't try to force whatever the hell that they were trying to force with Fable Legends, and just kind of let it out as a before the actual Fable game comes out. This is an alternative for people who are engaging in the multiplayer. I think the game, and you put it in as it has a game as a service. That should, I think that's what that game was going to be, was a game as a service title, and the first of its kind for Xbox before Sea of Thieves. And it just didn't resonate because of what all the turmoil that and everything that was going on, and then just like bad faith and all that. So, um, yeah. So no, it's pretty wild. It's pretty wild. Yeah, no, that was some of the best graphics I ever seen for a game that was still in beta. I have not seen graphics for a game in beta. I can't say I've ever seen a game like that. I'm trying to think right now, like, because I played betas before, and some of them look pretty good, but I can't say that I've seen a beta look that damn good. That was that game could be played if that game came out now. People would probably think that that game would be, a launch title for a PlayStation 5, a Xbox Series S or X title. Those graphics were that phenomenal. Particle effects, the atmosphere, the way that the game handled the controls. It was, and that shit was really really good on that. It just wasn't Fable, and that's why and they scrapped it. I hate that they did it, but I understand why they had to. So yeah, yeah. See, that's the thing. The 4 versus 1 thing, gamers. That's what I'm saying. Like, you came and you approach that and have that as a starting point, but like if you have that as a service, as a service game, then you can add more content to it to where you can have 4v4 things like that. But you would still, but that would be the startup for having the 4v1. But again, yeah, the 4v1 thing kind of died like with Evolved. Evolved, they just couldn't keep up, and people got, and then mostly people that uh that wanted to keep playing as as the monster, or they wanted to play as certain characters or whatever. They just didn't have enough going on for it. I played a little bit of Evolved. I mean, that game looked great too. It didn't hold up. But yeah, no, I think the four. What other games out there? I don't think there is any more games out there with the 4v1 premise. I don't think there are any more out there. I think those after Evolve and a few others out there, that was it. So yeah, but no, that's exactly where they were going to go, and that would have been cool. But people still wanted their Fable. But then, of course, Playground Games is going to get it. We'll get to see what they're going to do. We damn sure know that they know how to make the best racers of all time. So let's just see if they can make a legendary title and just make it better than we've ever anticipated, or just have a sigh of relief that this game is not going to be a whiff. So I have faith in Playground, though. I really do. So, but yeah, no, like, I mean, there was just so much going on in that era. So it's cool for Spider-Man to be with PlayStation, and the Marvel games to be with PlayStation. I just wish, and I hope, not only for not for just, well, for me, for other reasons, because I really want Xbox to have a hold of not of the Wonder Woman game, but the Monolith Studio, and that crazy engine, and that AI thing. I can't think of it right now for the top of my head. That was used in Shadow of Mordor and Shadow of War. Like, I mean, come on, like, and that's going to be used in the Wonder Woman game. I can't wait. I can't wait. I can't wait for that. But yeah, for me, Mortal Kombat is the one. Mortal Kombat needs to stay multi-plat. I was saying this on Fight Night, Sunday night when I was playing, and shout out to Cincy, he was coming in there and we was chatting. He was chatting and everything, and I was just making a point because fighters and racers, they die too soon. If you're not a big time fighter like Tekken or Smash Brothers, or or maybe a free to play that turns popular like Brawlhalla, Brawlhalla, and then I think that this WB multiverse game or whatever, I think that's going to be a hit too. But that's free to play. But if it isn't the big fighting titles like Street Fighter, um, those other great fighters out there, they die on a vine by themselves, and that's why crossplay is so important. And they need to be in fighters and racers, unless it's like the main big ones for Xbox and for PlayStation. But for any other third party racer out there, and for any other fighter that's not exclusive to that console, like let's say Killer Instinct, they need to be crossplay. They need to be crossplay because I mean I'm going and I'm playing. I can go on Dead or Alive 6 on Xbox. I can always find matches. I was trying to play Dead or Alive 6 on PC, dead. I was trying to play Guilty Gear XR, not Strive. Strive is still live and kicking. But Guilty Gear XR on PlayStation, dead. Dead. EX Layer on PlayStation and on PC, dead. Like, but if you have crossplay, you can always have somebody that's definitely going to be playing it. And also build a community within those games to keep those games going. It's just wild to me. And I mean, definitely need crossplay. Definitely need crossplay for those. But yeah, I just think overall that if Xbox is going to have an answer for what PlayStation is going to have with the Marvel situation, it's got to be WB. That's the only way. Now the question is, because the way Xbox wanted, like, I mean, I seen what Yobi said, like, hey, if you want the bag, you're going to have to give us all the bag. We don't want half-assed. We don't want to play around. We don't want to have any type of... I think the Crytek thing was kind of like the start of everything. When Crytek tried to play ill, when that guy was out there with the head of Crytek trying to change up and trying to forge like whose IP is it and sue and all that other stuff. And Microsoft was just like, no. Nah, bro. We ain't trying to do all that. We ain't trying to do all that. And so I hope that's the one to get. Because I mean, I don't know. We look and see everything from I don't even know what other studio could do. I mean, I'm sure that there's tons of talented studios and upcoming indie studios and stuff like that. I mean, the stuff that I see that's on social media from some of these indie studios that's getting started and making like fighters and hack and slash and RPGs and things like look amazing. They could have the talent to make these things, but overall, I mean, I'm trying to think of who would be a studio to work on something else. Who would you go to? Tara McFarlane for Spawn? Like that would be dope, but that's all you got, right? Like I don't even know anything else that Tara McFarlane does except for Spawn. I mean, I know that there's other independent comics out there that you could probably go and try to grab, but I don't know. So WB with DC just seems to be the perfect opportunity for those gamers out there that wants Xbox to try to fight back for the whole superhero thing. I think personally, I mean, Indiana Jones, Star Wars, tons of other Disney IPs that they have, assets or whatever that they have could be grabbed and could be used. So I think Indiana Jones could be like, yeah, I don't know. Like to me, those are like superheroes because those are fictional characters. They're fun. You put big budgets behind them. You can have some really dope games. But I don't know. That's just my thoughts on that. That's my thoughts on that. The whole Spider-Man thing. I do want to get on to this. Now this perplexes me. This bothers me. Spider-Man thing don't bother me. But this one bothers me. And yes, this game right here, I do. I tell people, man, get that Tokyo Ghostwire or wait till it comes to Xbox and to Game Pass, the best value in gaming. Ghostwire is absolutely a blast to play. I love it. 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 But the Knights of the Old Republic is that news bothers me. I don't know if you heard this, but I'll go ahead and I'll read it to you. Let's see. Okay, so Xbox reportedly turned down Star Wars KOTOR Remake. Now, I would remember reading and hearing about a KOTOR remake, I don't know, about 5-6 years ago. And they were saying that it was people that left, that they were stationed somewhere in Texas, and they left BioWare, and some of the people that left BioWare, they're forming their own studio. That was 6, 7, that was between 5 and 7 years ago when I first heard that, right? So I was like, okay, cool. I know Xbox gonna cop that. I can't wait. Like I played the hell out of 1 and 2. Named my kids, named my son from the first character, and then named my daughter the second character. And it was so dope how it meshed together because I wasn't expecting that. Because if you played 1 and 2, that you find out that they're kin. Well, it's great. Anyway, so it was really dope. So I just, make those characters, but I love those games with everything I have. On top of Jade Empire, I think that those 3 games have been a no-brainer for Microsoft, Xbox to bring back. Work with EA and bring Jade Empire back. But there's no reason in my mind to think who was there at the time, and it had to be Phil and them. It had to, because if you're looking back about, we're looking around 2017, 2018, Phil's in charge. Now, of course, Phil got a lot of stuff on his plate. But when they came to, when that studio came to them and offered this game, like, I'm going to read this part right here. It says, Xbox may have turned down the Star Wars KOTOR remake. According to a new report, YouTuber Mr. Matty Plays has heard from accurate sources that Microsoft was approached for a deal to release the Star Wars KOTOR remake on Xbox consoles. However, much like the case with the Marvel offer, the console maker also turned down this offer to focus on its own IP. Mr. Matty Plays reminds the audience that the Knights of Old Republic was originally an Xbox console exclusive on the first ever Xbox console. And of course, this guy, never seen him or heard of him before, but I'm pretty sure he's a bigger channel guy. He was disappointed. And so this part right here, it says, based on this information, the deal didn't go through partly because the third-party collaboration has been handled by Asber. I think that's the name of the company. That's the name of the studio that's in Texas. A possible explanation could be Microsoft's lack of faith in Asber to deliver a worthy remake that fans would come to expect. And that's why the deal ultimately didn't get put together. And so they went to Sony, and Sony was quick to jump on it and offer, and and open the avenues for the console maker to make games based on other Disney IPs such as Wolverine. That's including with the situation with the Marvel deal. Okay, so basically, so they're combining two, basically saying like, okay, Microsoft dropped the ball for the Marvel situation, but like I said before, we don't know what those games would have been like, and we don't know what studios would have been handling those Marvel properties last gen. This, though, with Knights of the Old Republic, is a problem for me. It's a problem. Like, I don't know. Like, you may not have had faith in it, but if at the time, especially if this, and I don't know, like I said, if it's right around the time when Phil first got started, there was a lot on the plate, and on top of that, they started acquiring studios. So that was probably the first set of business, and that would make sense when they say, well, look, we want to just kind of be a part, worry about just our own IPs at this time. But if this is before Phil and them or whatever, then this is a pattern. And listen, I mean, I understand Phil was there. I mean, you know, saying he wasn't in charge of nothing, but at the time, but if Phil turned that down, then that's to me that was a miss because this game could come out and this game could be a mud duck. I just don't think it would have though, because you still have the same people. You still have some of the devs that comes from BioWare that worked on the original 2 games. That's going to see. Oh, that's going to watch over that game. And like it said, it was going to be. It said it's going to stay close to the chest of the originals. It said it's just going to be okay. So let me read this part right here. Instead of me butchering it, trying to explain it. It says the Star Wars KOTOR Remake, a graphically upgraded remake of the original, was announced for Microsoft Windows and PlayStation 5 in September. It will be a PlayStation 5 console exclusive for an unknown period of time, being released on other platforms. According to the project's lead producer, Ryan Treadwell, the studio is reconstructing the remake from the ground up with the newest tech to meet the revolutionary level of innovation established by the original, all while remaining faithful to the renewed to the re-owned story. Several people who worked on the original game, including former BioWare devs, are returning for the remake. Jennifer Hale will also reprise her role as Ballista. And it says, it also says here, it says it's been speculated that the remake will incorporate elements from both Star Wars Knights of Old Republic 1 and 2, as well as establish the lore from both games in the official Star Wars canon, something Disney appears to be focused on within to expand the Star Wars universe. So, I mean, that's a miss. I mean, the one good thing about it is that it's a timed exclusive, but to not lock that down and to have KOTOR remain, and I get it. Like, I read what Don is saying here. He's saying if people knew how much it costs for the licensing rights from Disney, they would understand why companies would turn down the deal. And I said that earlier, that there was people out there that I mean, that's why EA dropped. That's why Square Enix dropped the Tomb Raider studio, Adios. So it sent them packing, sold them for a little bit of nothing. I mean, you know, when you're talking about big money, you know, 300 million is nothing compared to companies getting bought for billions. So, yeah. So no, I mean, yeah, there's no doubt about the situation that Disney wants their cut, and Disney hit them over the head. So, but I don't know. The KOTOR thing, man, is so big. It resonates with Xbox gamers who's played that game. Like when you played the original Xbox, when you think of like the top 10 games that you played on that console, KOTOR is one of them. And I don't know, man. I mean, it's okay. Like I said, it's just if it was a PlayStation exclusive only, console wise, and it was just PlayStation and PC, that was a fail for Microsoft, in my opinion. That would be a fail. Because that's like, think about, let's say an old classic from Sony. Let's say SOCOM. Let's say SOCOM comes to Sony and say, hey, look, or Twisted Metal, right? They say, well, you know, we want to do this, and then they get rejected, and then Sony and then Xbox get them, and then wraps them up. Yeah, that's gonna hurt some PlayStation fans. Because that's an IP that's synonymous with the PlayStation. So that to me was kind of that bothered me more than the Spider-Man, the Marvel thing. It is what it is. I mean, it ain't the end of the world because I play on everything, but it's still the issue of a title like that, and they passed up on it. So I mean, I don't know. We'll see. I think, you know, so Microsoft will look like geniuses if this game comes out and it doesn't live up to the expectations, and it falls flat on its face. But I don't know, man. I just don't know. Yeah, so I just don't know. Yes, Yobi, Jennifer Hale is returning. So it's pretty wild. I don't like I said, we'll talk more about it on GRG and everything. Can't wait to get the guys' thoughts on everything. Of course, I don't know if we'll be talking about it on the next podcast tomorrow, but I just look at this and I'm like, oh. But like I said, the one positive is that it's only a timed exclusive. Um, but what will happen going forward though? See, if this game does really well on PlayStation, will PlayStation go ahead and try to cop the rights? I mean, that's one of those things that you got to look at. Like, I mean, I get it. It's on hindsight 2020. We can say what if until we see it, you know, and if we don't know what's going on. That's why I said the Spider-Man thing is just it is what it is. It's fine. But keys like that, chill, let's wait. And then like I said, the whole WB thing was right in Microsoft's lap. Right there to get with Cinemax, and which I think that's what they were going to do, get both. Now, I mean, I don't know. So it is really funny too going with the tie-in with the Activision stuff, because let's say that Microsoft did acquire Marvel back then in 2014, and then now they're buying Activision. Now, you know, you kind of that's a crazy situation. So, like I said, Sony got that. Let Sony win on the situation with the Marvel games. It's not a big deal. I don't see that there's going to be bad relationship or bad blood between Disney and Microsoft or anything like that. I think it's just Microsoft is just going to work with different IPs through Disney, and while Sony is going to work with the properties of you know what's going through that's probably linked to Spider-Man, which there's a lot. You know, you got, like I said, you got Wolverine. You're going to most likely get the Hulk. You'll get I mean, the possibilities is endless on that end. So, but what will be Microsoft's answer going back? I don't know. Right now, and right, that's the whole point. Like, it doesn't matter if you got all the parts, because I mean, you know, that's how I look at it. Like, I prefer now. I want my PlayStation games to be on PC because, like I said, after seeing Death Stranding, after I booted it up, and I'm like, yeah, and then I got it on PlayStation 4, and I'm like, and I'm sure it looks great on PlayStation 5, but I don't know, man. I was like, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna play this game. I'm gonna sit there and get laughed at or whatever. That's fine, but I'm gonna play it. I'm gonna give it a shot. I'm going deep on my PlayStation games this weekend. You know, well, I'm still gonna be streaming and doing Fight Night and playing Halo this weekend. But I'm gonna go in on these PlayStation games this weekend, and I'm finally gonna be Cali Rex. I'm finally gonna beat a Spider-Man game. I'm gonna give a Spider-Man game a full chance. I'm saying the last one I beat was on PlayStation 2, so that tells you how much I care about Spider-Man like that. I think that the games are fantastic for what I've had fun when I played them, but I don't know, it's just something that doesn't resonate with me the longer I play it. And I'm like, okay. That's I don't know what it is. I don't know. It's some kind of roadblock. But I'm gonna let it. I'm gonna let the. I'm gonna let it pass. So I don't know if it's gonna be the first Spider-Man game or Miles Morales. Probably be better to just do Miles Morales because that's a shorter game. So I'll probably do that. I'll have gameplay for all that stuff. That's what I'm saying. Oh yeah, no, I've played on the DualSense. I've played on it. I've got a well, I know some friends that got a PlayStation 5, but I haven't played on their PlayStation 5s. I used to play when I didn't have a PlayStation 4 on my own. I used to go and play PlayStation 4 all the time with them, but I haven't played on their PlayStation 5. But there's a person that I know that at the Best Buy, and I mean, I know it's you can go into what you call it, but I can kind of play for a while. Like, lets me come in there and kind of chill in the back room back there, so I can go in there. No big deal. But yeah, no, I plan on giving me. I want to maybe this. I don't know. That's another discussion that I'm going to have next week. I talked to Don about it, about my PlayStation situation, and I can't wait to give you guys my thoughts on that. So to see what you think and how you guys think about it from the aspect if you're like a pro, not pro, but like if you're main console is like a PlayStation, how much do you actually play on your Xbox? How much do you play on this? How much do you play on that? And that's kind of like where I'm going to have a discussion about that because I think if you're not putting in a lot of time into that other console, then because that's what I'm saying. Like I would see me playing, and I see it now, playing more PlayStation games on PC just because it just seems more comfortable for me. I don't know if it's the controller aspect of it or what. I don't know. But I can but like I'll jump on and I'll boot up um God of War. I've already beat God of War on PlayStation 4, but I've caught myself playing it for like another 5, 6 hours. Like, damn, like and I'm just like, man, it just feels, plays, performs a hell of a lot better. So I'm glad the PlayStation's going this route. So I can go ahead and support them that way. I don't know if this might be my last PlayStation console. Um, when I get the PlayStation 5. I don't know. But that's a discussion that I'll have probably next week. So hope you guys will come and check that out and see what you guys think about that. So anyway, really do appreciate it. Hope you guys share this out. Let people know that this video came out. And I know it's kind of random, but I said I was going to start doing these things more often. So pretty much every week I'll give my thoughts on whatever, on something. It might be different than what everybody else is talking about, or it kind of might be in the same, but I'll take a different angle with it. But I definitely will do this. So thank you guys so much for checking it out. And I will see you guys tomorrow on next podcast.